All right, today we're going to talk about our graphs of quadratic functions. This is an intro to it, and this is a big chunk of what Math 1 is about. So a quadratic is a function that can be written in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. The graph of a quadratic function is a U-shaped curve called a parabola. If a is greater than 0, the graph opens up. If a is less than 0, the graph opens down. All right, so again, here's an example of up. Here's an example of down. So you can look at that. And then here, that's positive, so it opens up. Here, it's -2, so that's why it opens down. All right, so now here's a lot of little parts when we're graphing this, and that's probably the trickiest thing, is remembering how to find all of it and what they all mean. So for your vocab, you can fold a parabola so two sides match exactly. The fold or the line that divides a parabola into two matching halves is called your axis of symmetry. You'll see me write AOS. That stands for axis of symmetry. The formula defining the axis of symmetry is x equals -b over 2 times a. So if we look up here, if we were to fold this parabola along this line, this is our axis of symmetry. If we were to fold this parabola in half, the axis of symmetry is right there. So if you notice, they're equidistant from each part. All right. The highest or lowest point in the parabola is called the vertex. So in that case, this would be the vertex here and the vertex here. The vertex is at the top of the parabola is called the maximum, so that's the highest you can go. So this is the max. And then if it's at the bottom, it's called the minimum, because that's the lowest you can go. The solution, or the point where the parabola crosses the x-axis, are called roots, zeros, solutions, or x-intercepts of the equation when it's set equal to 0. So in this case, I tried to color coordinate. So that would be your zeros, solutions, all of this right here is where it crosses the x-axis. And then on this one is where it crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept of the quadratic is your c value. That's the constant. So if you look here, you've got your y-intercept, and that's where it crosses the y-axis. Now, a parabola is increasing if you go left to right, and it goes up. And then a parabola is decreasing if you go left to right and it goes down. So think of it like a roller coaster and look at your x value. So we're looking here at your x. So if you notice, it's going down. So this would be decreasing from here to this point. And then, from here to this point. Now it's going up from here up. So we said from our x's, from here, it's going up. And then from here, we notice it's increasing from here to here. And then it's decreasing from here to here. All right. Now, we're not going to learn about these in Math 1. You'll learn more about them in Math 2. But a parabola is positive with the part that's above. So in this case, this is above and this is above. So that would be positive. And then this section is below. So that would be negative. So again, think of it like a submarine, but you'll focus more on that in the next math. All right, so now let's start doing it little parts by just looking at the equation, and then we'll put it together with graphing. So for the equation y equals 2x squared minus 6x plus 4, we want to know, does it open up or down? So here you're going to look at your a value. So in this case, A is 2, so it's going to open up. And then since it opens up, it has a minimum. So if you look at it like that, it's going to have a minimum, which would be there. Now we want to know what is the axis of symmetry. So first we need to determine, we know A is 2 because that goes with the x squared. B is -6 because that goes with the x. And then C is 4 because that's your constant. So remember, here's your formula. X equals -b over 2a. So let's substitute in our values. Don't forget, it's still negative outside. And then we're going to substitute in -6. And then it's 2 times 2, which is your a value. So remember, your two negatives will make plus. And then 2 times 2 is 4, and that simplifies to 3/2. So your axis of symmetry would be a 1.5 or 3/2. And then we want to know, what is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is your c value. That's super easy. We're going to look. Why did I write 6? I don't know. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to fix that and put 4. So just make sure, 1, that I wrote all the right information, but 2, make sure you know what all the parts are. Okay? I want you to go ahead and I want you to try this one using this information and the information from the front. Okay, now we're going to graph the parabola. So we need to think about it. If it opens up and it has a vertex of 2, -2. So I'm going to take my vertex and I'm going to plot it on your graph. And it has x-intercepts of 1, 0, and 3, 0. So remember, 1, 0, and 3, 0. And then it has a y-intercept of 0, 6, so we're going to go here. And then it does open up, so we know it's going to look like that. So if this is your vertex, your axis of symmetry is going to go through your vertex. So I know it's going to curve here, and then it needs to look the same on this side. And then go ahead and connect the points. All right, now we're going to take the graph and we're going to work backwards and find the information. So we're given the equation here. The vertex is where your highest or lowest point is. In this case, this would be a maximum because that's the highest you can go, which would be -1, 4. Now, if you look at the x value, that's going to give you your axis of symmetry. So the shortcut is where you could fold it along x equals -1, and that's where you get axis of symmetry. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis at 0, 3. The x-intercepts are at -3, 0, and 1, 0. And then we want to know, where is it increasing? Well, it's increasing. Remember, you're always going left to right. So going left to right, it's going up here to this point. So remember, we're looking at your x-axis. So we're coming from -infinity, and it's going all the way, and it's stopping here, which is -1. So you could write it as x is less than -1, or you can go -1 to, or sorry, -infinity to -1. Whoops. There you go. All right, and the decreasing part is your roller coaster, and it's going, wee, it's going down here. So it starts to decrease at this point. So it's going, x is greater than -1, or we can write it as it's going from -1 to infinity. Now again, for right now, we don't have to know where it's positive, but this part would be positive, which is from here to here. And then this part is negative, which would be those two parts. Again, right now, you don't need to know this, but I just put it on there. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to go through, look at all the information we got. Oh, I didn't put those in there, but we already talked about how it opens down. And we know that it opens down because you have a negative a, and then it is a maximum. So make sure you put those answers in there. All right, so now you're going to go through, you're going to complete all of these, and you do not have to do these last parts. So I and J you don't have to do, but you do need to do, whoops, A through H. All right, and then that is graphing quadratic functions.